Hey guys, welcome back to another video of Marvel Contest of Champions. Today we're going to be talking about Vision Arcus, the next character to be coming out in September 2019 for Marvel Contest of Champions, pardon me. He's going to be coming out right after Black Widow Clairvoyant, and while I've only had a little bit of time so far to look over Vision, it seems like Vision and Black Widow are two very different characters. Now, Black Widow, when she first came out and I first got a chance to look at her stats and her abilities and whatnot, she seemed like a very complex character. There's lots of different little layers to her abilities, and it was very like you had to work hard in order to get some damage output out of this character and just to get everything to activate. There's lots of little it's like you had like a tree branch for all of her abilities, and you could like choose which. It's like a choose your own adventure almost with her abilities. Whereas with Vision Arcus, at least maybe it's because we've just had such a complicated character, but Vision Arcus seems like a very simple character. It seems like his abilities and his attacks are all very linear, which is kind of nice. Kind of the type of champion I almost kind of prefer. I kind of like that slightly simpler character. Now, I think when it comes to Vision Arcus, I think what he's going to be associated with the most kind of going forward is going to be his two main abilities, which are his power gain abilities and his armor break abilities. Now, this is especially where that very linear path comes into effect with this champion. Now, as you read through his attacks, everything, it's kind of like you have to activate one thing in order to get to the next thing. You can't just immediately jump to this ability. You have to it's like you have to unlock certain steps before you can get to that final step. So the main thing is, with this character, everything starts off with his power gain ability. You can't really go anywhere if you don't have his power gain ability. So immediately right there, we have a counter for Vision Arcus, and that is the a power block or anything that can nullify his power gain abilities. That being said, Vision does have some counters in against that. He has an ability that will reduce the potency of any power drain, power block, whatever you want to call them, abilities like that. So it's going to be a little bit interesting, but for the most part, or not for the most part, but for every fight, Vision starts off the fight with a power gain ability, and he has the opportunity to gain more of those power gain charges. Now, all of this comes from his ability called the Power of Smoke World buff. So as it says here, Arcus draws strength from the Smoke World dimension at all times. He starts the fight with a power gain buff and gains one every 10 seconds. So you start off, like I said, with one right off the bat, and then every 10 seconds you gain another power gain buff. Not as powerful as the first one that you got. I believe they're slightly weaker than the previous one. Actually, yeah, it says here right in the next note as I'm reading it here. So it says, these buffs last indefinitely. The first one grants Arcus 4% of a power bar every 1 second, and every subsequent power gain buff is 33.33% less effective. So basically they're they're 2/3 as strong as the previous power gain. So as you gain more power gain abilities, it kind of balances out by that each one is weaker. So this is where you basically need to start with everything is just his power gain abilities, because when you have his power gain abilities activated, he is then able to start applying those armor break abilities, which is the core of his damage output and just kind of where his whole package is built on. So it says here, so his ability is called the Frozen Air ability. So it says, while Arcus has a power gain buff, he freezes the area near him. Every 2.3 seconds the opponent spends near Arcus, they gain an armor break debuff, decreasing their armor rating by X%, depends on how strong your Vision Arcus is. For 5 seconds, these armor breaks are capped at 10. So it's so easy to get an armor break debuff on your opponent. All you have to do is spend some time near your opponent. You don't even have to hit them. They can be blocking every single one of your attacks, but so long as you spend a couple seconds near them, they will gain an armor break debuff. So this ability definitely rewards aggressive play, which for me, as someone who plays slightly more aggressive, I've been told this many times that I definitely play more aggressive. This is awesome. Again, I don't have to hit them. I don't have to hit my opponent at all. I just need to be near them, which is great. Of course, the automatic counter to that is just, well, stay away from Arcus. So, you do have to, I mean, of course you do have to go in to actually put damage on him, but for characters that have longer range abilities, like their special attacks and that sort of thing, would be potentially great opponents to fight Vision Arcus. But once you have your these armor break debuffs applied to the opponent, that's when you get your next ability activated, which is the next thing here, Cold Snap. I believe now he's at least, I don't say he's the second champion to have this ability. He's the second one that I can think of. The only other champion I can think of that really has Cold Snap is Iceman. I might be forgetting somebody. I probably am. So feel free to let me know in the comments. But once you do have your armor break debuffs activated, the next step here says while the opponent is near Arcus and they have an armor break or armored shattered debuff, they also gain a Cold Snap debuff, dealing X amount of energy damage every 0.5 seconds. Opponents under Cold Snap cannot evade attacks. So that's just awesome. But of course, in order to get to this point where you have the Cold Snap activated, you have to have that power gain, you have to have that armor break or armor shattered, and then you get the Cold Snap ability. So I hope it's clear enough now what I was saying earlier, that everything is very linear. You can't just go immediately to having a Cold Snap ability. You have to go through the steps to unlock that ability. And then of course, another layer to all of this is when you have all of these abilities activated, the Cold Snap, the armor break, or the armored shatters, they can be stacked on even more with your special attacks. Now it varies for all of the different special attacks. I'm not going to go over them right now, but for each of the different special attacks, your special 1, 2, and 3, depending on which buffs and debuffs you have activated, you could unlock just a ton of extra damage output, both as just mainly as energy damage, but then there's also just some direct damage as well, but then there's also a bunch of like helping with power gain, ability accuracy of your opponent, debuffing, pardon me, your opponent's ability accuracy. Specifically, it says here that pardon me, let me just gather my thoughts here and get going on this properly. So for his special attack 2 specifically, while he activates this ability, it says while armor shattered is active, opponents cannot suffer from further armor break debuffs nor activate their armor buffs. Additionally, this debuff shatters robot champion systems, reducing their ability accuracy and power gain by 10%. So Vision Arcus might be a really great option just for robotic opponents. So like Sentinel, Ultron, alternate versions of Vision, I believe Warlock would count as well, and then he also just has the class advantage as well, so he might be really great for that. But as you will eventually get to see once the character comes out, there's all sorts of other abilities that can be activated depending on which special attack that you use. But the last kind of like major ability you get, and the one I want to talk about lastly here out of his special abilities, is one that comes after you activate your special 3. Now with Vision Arcus, once you activate your special 3 after the animation and the attack is done, you gain a Fury buff afterwards, which increases your attack rating by X amount for, again, of course, however strong your Vision Arcus is, and that will last for 20 seconds. So again, just another level to that. You start off with your power gain, you move from that, you get to your armor break or your armor shattered, then you move on to Cold Snap, then you move on to Fury, and if you get through all of those steps, Vision Arcus can put out a lot of damage. And I feel like when I think of armor break, I think usually the champion that comes to mind first is Iron Fist. That's basically all he is just an armor break champion. But I feel like Vision Arcus as well is going to be another champion that's really going to have a really just awesome armor break ability overall. And I've seen some conversations going on between different content creators in the content creator program, and a lot of people are talking about some counters that he might that he'd be good for, basically, or some champions that he would be good to counter. I realize I phrased that weirdly. But yeah, so overall, again, the main thing with this champion is I think most people are just going to think of his armor break abilities when it comes to this champion. So again, it's just kind of like a simpler champion just overall, so I'm kind of happy about that, but I don't want to spend too much time rambling on. I realized in my last one, the Black Widow early thoughts, I went on way too long about this champion, so I think the last thing that The last thing I really want to talk about are a couple of his synergies that he has as well, some that I think will be very useful if you're trying to just build your team around Vision Arcus, some very good synergies to have on your team. The first one is called Dry Ice. It's with Iceman or Mysterio, specifically for Vision Arcus. It increases the duration of his armor break debuffs by 2 seconds, so a character that relies so much on these armor break debuffs, being able to extend the duration of those armor break debuffs, of course, is something that's absolutely amazing. The other one is called the Seniors Discount. This synergy could be activated with Black Widow, Clairvoyant, Old Man Logan, or Captain America. This synergy will decrease the cost of special attacks by 15%, so they'll cost 15% less power to use them, which for someone who has all these power gain abilities, you can just get that many more special attacks off. That's also maybe a thing I haven't mentioned so far, is that it's very much so focused on getting special attacks off on this character. You build up your power gain, your armor break, and your cold snap, and then you just basically like start spamming special attacks like as much as you can, and you just start putting on a crazy amount of damage. So again, I think this champion, especially compared to someone like Black Widow Clairvoyant, is just a very linear champion. Maybe I'm missing something, but to me it just all seems very linear. So for me, I'm kind of happy about that. You know, we've had a few very complicated champions coming out over the last little while, and it's kind of nice to see someone that's just a little bit simpler, but at the same time can still be as effective as these very complex champions. So at first, I'll admit I was not super excited for Vision Arcus. I love Vision as a character, but just in this game, I don't know what it is about his character. There's just something I don't like. I think it's just like OG Vision is probably the one I like the best out of all of them. There's just something I don't like about these Vision characters. I can't really explain it myself, but Vision Arcus in particular has pleasantly surprised me. He's a little bit better than I thought he was going to be, kind of especially after Black Widow Clairvoyant being a little bit of a bust, not quite, but a little bit of a disappointment. So I was a little worried about him, but again, just pleasantly surprised about him. I like him a lot more than I thought I was going to, so that's always a good thing, of course. But yeah, I guess basically just to sum everything up, this champion very much so relies on armor break and his power gain, and he's a champion that will very much so reward aggression, because you need to get in there close in order to activate these abilities. So for someone like me who has an aggressive playstyle, might be the champion that, if I eventually get a higher star version of him, could be someone that might be a good choice for me to rank up in the future. But we'll have to wait and see once he's finally released if I will be able to get a hold of him. But that'll be for, what is it? I guess not gonna be this week. It'll be next week. It should be next week that the Vision Arcus crystals will come out. So we'll have to wait until then to see if luck will be on my side. But as for this video, though, I think that's gonna wrap this up. I know I kind of just spewed out a lot of information just kind of all at once. This video is admittedly a little bit rushed, but I still wanted to at least get something out on him. Just haven't had too much time to actually sit down and do editing and recording and all that stuff. But apart from that, though, I hope you did enjoy this video. I hope it was at least somewhat educational, helpful, that sort of thing. But yeah, again, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to give the video a thumbs up. And if you like this kind of stuff, we've got lots of it coming out all the time, so feel free to subscribe to the channel. Let me know what you think about Vision Arcus, or even Black Widow Clairvoyant, the most recent champion to come out. Let me know what you think about these two champions in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you guys think. Like, I seriously mean that. Every time I say that, I love it when I'm able to start up a conversation with you guys in the comments, talking about stuff about the game. So I love it when you guys do that. So yeah, let me know in the comments below. But while you're down there, don't forget to check out social media. Links in the description below. Go check that out there. And yeah, I think that's gonna be about it. So once again, thank you all so much for watching, taking a look at Vision Arcus, the next champion to be coming out later this month in Marvel Contest of Champions. Once again, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.